Okay, today I will be unboxing, reviewing, and ranking the Hammond Collection Gallimimus. Probably the first thing to say about this is the current wave of Hammond Collection figures that come out in June has been a bit disappointing in terms of like the supply issues. I have not been able to find a Rex, so I can't review that. All I could find was this Gallimimus, thanks to Big Bad Toy Store. So that's the only thing I'm going to currently be doing a video on in ranking. I'll try and add other dinosaurs to this ranking as I get them. I am definitely going to try and get a Rex. I'm keeping an eye out as much as I can. I've got like 4 tabs open in my browser to see if one gets stocked anywhere. I went to Target on the street date and they didn't have any, so yeah, I think in the future I'm going to have to try and pre-order these because apparently they're just trying to get them on street date is just going to be a crapshoot. But at least we got something to look at here. So let's go ahead and get this Gallimimus open. Let me adjust some of my UI elements here, and we can talk about this figure. I've looked at it a bit online, so I'm aware of what to expect here from it. I definitely have a lot to say about it. I've prepared a few, let's call them prop images, to discuss some points about the figure that I think merit discussion, and probably have some considerations for the entire. I've never done an unboxing video, so I don't know what I'm doing in that regard. Just hold the box in front of the camera and call it good, right? That's probably how that works. It's kind of weird when you have like just a webcam that's like not looking at a table, because like if I ever set this down, it's just completely out of view. But there's the Gallimimus. I do like the packaging for the Hammond figures. It's pretty cool. You get the little blurb on the back there. That's fun. I actually keep these boxes. I have them stacked over on my wall. You can't see it, but it's over. It's over on that side of the room. So yeah, no accessories on the galley. Tail again comes separate like most of the other ones. You plug it in yourself. It's another bendy tail. It's kind of, this one seems a little weird because it seems like the wire, you can see kind of where it like it starts to bend there in that middle section. I think the wire doesn't continue all the way to the base. I think the wire starts right here, which is really strange, and then ends at the tip. So you got like this very small section of wire to actually like bend the tail with, which is a little weird. It doesn't give you that much option actually then for posing it. We're not here for tails though, are we? I'm going to go ahead and snap the little bindings here, holding his wrists in place like he's committed some sort of felony, which I think is an unfair thing to put on a Gallimimus. They're probably the most innocent of all Jurassic dinosaurs. All they do is get eaten and chased, right? They don't trample anybody. Ah. But yeah, pretty excited to see the Gallimimus. It's an underrepresented species for sure. Although Mattel's put out a fair few variations. I have one of the previous Mattel Gallimimuses. We'll compare to that too, because I have a point to make about that. Here he is. So yeah, it's just a couple of bindings on the wrists, and then he just pops right out in theory. As long as he doesn't lose his head. Oh, plastic sounds. There we go. Just chuck that into the distance. And there is our Gallimimus. So we've got some neck joints. There's like a twisting joint here with a little bit of a hinge as well. So you can lower and raise the neck, it seems like. We've got a mouth with teeth in it, which is a point that I'll bring up in a moment when I talk about the accuracy of this figure. Eyes are gold. Don't know how that compares to an actual Gallimimus' eye color, thinking about it now. Something I've never considered before. I mean, the paint job is at least involved. I mean, a Gallimimus would be something that they could really cut a lot of corners on, like coloring it, right? They could just make this thing orange, and it wouldn't be that inaccurate. Oh, I should have brought up on the packaging here. This is going to come back up too. This is explicitly tagged as a Jurassic Park figure, JP1 Gallimimus, including with the JP1 screenshot there on the box. It's on the side as well. And that's partially a sticking point. We'll get into. Yeah, we got no wrist joints on this thing either, which I feel is a little. I mean, they're pretty thin arms, so it's understandable, I guess, that there's no wrist joints. But like, it limits a little bit the poses you can do because they always have their arms just kind of, their wrists kind of half folded over here. So there's like a real limited range of what you can do with that, and not have it look strange. There's also no way to make its wrists look like a proper, like realistic Gallimimus. It's never going to be, realistic because it's naked, but yeah, there's no way to unpronate the wrists or whatever. Wait, now I'm thinking, wait, is that the right terminology? Pronate and supinate? Which one's which? You know what I mean. As dinosaur people, you know what I mean. Now, let's get the tail snapped in here. It just pushes in and snaps into place. Yeah, like the other ones. There's like 2 variations on the tail snaps for these. Like the Hammond collection figures in general. There's some that are like orientation specific and some that aren't. I don't remember if it was the Baryonyx maybe, where it had like a very particular alignment to actually snap the tail in. Whereas like this one is just side to side. Like it doesn't matter which side. You can snap it in upside down, I'm pretty sure, and it works. Just a simple thing. Feet are a bit big, but that's, par for the course for a Hammond collection figure, or a Mattel figure in general. Helps it stand, I guess. It's like whatever. Some people get really mad about the feet. I've come to expect it and can generally live with it. I mean, it's not as egregious on this figure, I don't think, as it is on the Raptor. The Raptor was especially large in that regard, let's say. I still like the Raptor. You can see it on the tier list there. It's at the top of A. Yeah, so we got two leg joints. You got the knee and the ankle, so that's pretty good. Good posability for the legs. Looks like, I'm not sure. Yeah, there's like a tiny amount of hip movement in and out. Not that much. And these joints do rotate. At least the knee does. Oh, the ankle does too. So you get, yeah, you can rotate the legs about. So there's a decent amount of posability there in the legs at least, even though the wrists are a little limited. So that's good. This knee joint feels a little loose on this one leg here. Not bad. I've had worse from Amber collection, so it's fine. And then, yeah, the hip does move back and forth as well. And the tail, yeah, rotates there. So that's not bad. Decent posing options, seems like. Anything else to talk about? I guess the nails. The fingers, the nails are present and unpainted. There are nails molded into the fingertips. The toenails are painted. I think the fingernails are the only notably unpainted thing. The tongue is painted, which is, it'd be nice if the nails are always painted, but it's okay that they're not here. I don't care that much about a few. Like, these aren't like full-on like big claws. They're like little fingernails. That's kind of an easy thing to ignore, I think. The colorization. Oh, let's talk about the head, actually. So the head, I think it feels a little weird from like the straightforward profile because of this like joint here at the top where the head swivels side to side. It makes it a little bit big compared to the neck. It's not that bad. I think the head overall is better than like the para, which is really oversized. So I think it's fine. Not too bad. I think I would honestly have just preferred like no head joint there at the base of the skull, just to have it be a little bit better in proportion and like not have that weird hinge or that line there where the two pieces connect, to not have that junction point in the figure. I think I'd be fine with that. But whatever. It's, again, minor stuff. It's none of that's going to even take like points off my opinion of the figure, really. I'm perfectly content enough with it. What is going to take points off the figure is the accuracy. So let's get into that a bit here. I've prepared some props. So, Gallimimus, right? Introduced in the original film. This is the concept art. I don't know if the colorization of the concept art is actually official or if that was fan done, but this is the Crash McCreary Gallimimus concept art. In terms of the body proportions, you can't see me lining this up with the image on my screen, but it's pretty good, I think. The head is about the right size. The neck is maybe just a tiny sliver short. Not even that bad. The arms are just about perfect. The leg length is a little short. The legs should be a tiny bit longer. The tail length is just about right. Pretty good proportions for this concept art. The big thing about the Gallimimus that I'm taking points off the figure for is one, the teeth. Gallimimus should not have teeth, damn it. It does have teeth in at least some Jurassic World content. I'm not sure if you ever actually see the Gallimimus teeth in any of the films, if it's ever noticeable. There's renders that have it, and then you see the teeth in Camp Cretaceous. But in no OG JP material do you ever see teeth in a Gallimimus, and they just shouldn't have teeth. I guess you can see here that the eye is kind of a yellow color, so the gold is probably acceptable for that. The other problem with the Gallimimus here is you can notice the striping. So we've got like the right colorization, right? It's kind of this orange with this creamy underbelly running up to the lower jaw. The feet should probably have some white on them. I'm not sure if that actually tracks, but in the concept art, you can see the feet are white. I think in the film they're white. I should pull up a Gallimimus picture, actually, like from the film. Even though the CGI galleys are not, the detail's not very good on them. They're all running past really fast in that scene. You don't get a really good look at the Gallimimuses. But you should be able to tell if the feet are fairly white looking. Yeah, here we go. Let me copy this image into our browser or our image source here. To a new layer. It is behind this Gallimimus. Yeah. If you look at this, you could see that the legs, the lower like half of the legs is fairly white. So it should have that white color from the underbelly going also down into the lower leg. Kind of like they've been walking through a bunch of marshmallow or something. So yeah, that would be nice. The bigger problem I have is the striping on this figure. So striping on the tail is probably fine. You can see a little bit of it here on this. I think it shows up more in other sources that the tail has got striping on it. Where it should not have any striping is on the back of the hips. The colorization's pretty flat at the back part of the tail and towards the hips here. And then you get these fairly unique striping pattern on the shoulders, which is a really cool pattern that it's really disappointing this figure doesn't actually do that. It's rather unique for a dinosaur in the franchise because it's got this kind of darker patch over the shoulders and then these lightly colored stripes cut into that darker patch, which is cool. You see it like that in JWE, Jurassic World Evolution, the video games. And you see it like that in other places, such as the other Mattel Gallimimus from the basic toy line. This is not quite right in that the stripes do cut all the way through the dark patch. They should be, the dark patch over the shoulders should be pretty limited. That's the wrong phrasing. The dark patch should be continuous on the borders of it. It shouldn't go all the way back here to the hips either. But this is still a more accurate color palette for Gallimimus, I think, than the actual Hammond collection figure. Not perfect, of course, but and like the underbelly here is not painted. But the striping, let's say that the striping on this Gallimimus figure is actually more accurate to the Gallimimus. In terms of proportions, I've never actually like compared this figure. Yeah, the neck is too short, the tail is too short, legs and arms are fine. It's just also a lower budget figure, less paint job in general. So yeah. In terms of what's shown up in the film, we looked at this picture, of course, where you can see that the legs are more white. It's hard to see the striping detail on these guys at all, so you could maybe argue, actually, if you look at this one right here, it looks like the striping's a little different, a little bit more like the actual amber figure, but I don't think that's true. You can see the tail is striped, So that's fair. We give him that. Points for that. This is a trading card from the Jurassic Park trading cards from 1993 that came out the film. Probably the best look at the actual Gallimimus render in the film. Let's get that little outline off there. You can see here where it has that dark patch over the shoulders and then those individual lighter colored stripes that come down over that, which is absent, of course, in the Hammond collection figure. I would really like to see that, a more accurate paint job with those. You can see there is some striping on the neck here. Eye is actually rather gold in this picture, so I'll give him points for that too. Good job on the eye. It does have 3 fingers. This card always looked to me like it has 2 fingers, but you can kind of see the second finger behind the third finger there, or the first finger behind the second finger, or whatever. Just pointing that out. Yeah. So it would have been really cool to have like this exact paint job replicated a little bit better. In terms of the neck, the striping in this Gallimimus here, it's got more of this like red striping. I don't think that's present at all in the film. This looks like it's just kind of more of that darker patching from the shoulders coming up onto the neck. So in that case, like the neck for this figure is painted fine. The tail, at least the back part of the tail, probably at least first 3 stripes or something should be gone, is fine. It's really the body painting that's wrong, because it should have a dark patch over the shoulder and then no striping or nothing over the hip. And so the first thought I had when I originally saw this figure before I bought it, just in like the pre-release images, was like, oh, it's a Jurassic World Gallimimus that's been labeled as a Jurassic Park Gallimimus because, I don't know, sloppiness or something. But that's actually not accurate. This is the best shot you can get of the Gallimimus in Jurassic World. And you can see, again, it keeps that dark patch over the shoulder with those individual lightly colored stripes, and the hips are bare. There's nothing over the hips. And you can see the subtle striping somewhat on the neck again. So surprisingly enough, the Jurassic World Gallimimus, while the colorization feels a little different, this feels more red. The patch over the shoulders, and obviously the bodily proportions of the Jurassic World version of the Gallimimus are awful. The arms are really weird looking, like tacked onto the side of the animal. But we're not talking about the design of the animal here. We're talking about the colorization. The Jurassic World colorization is, or the patterning at least, if not the colorization, is pretty consistent with Jurassic Park. So the question then becomes, oh, some of my images might have been a little clipped off here. Hold on. Nah, you see the galley. Yeah, clipped off his nose a little bit. That's fine. Oops, spoilers. But yeah, that's pretty consistent in terms of patterning. So the question then becomes, well, what is this Gallimimus? It's got teeth. It's got stripes on the body. Why? None of the Gallimimuses in the film have stripes on the body. This patterning's preserved in all the films. I mean, I guess you can't say the Gallimimuses in Dominion that well. It's theoretically possible the Dominion Gallimimuses actually have stripes all over their body like this, but I doubt it. They're probably using the Fallen Kingdom model for Dominion, and the Fallen Kingdom model is just this Jurassic World Gallimimus pattern, but on a much better frame that doesn't look weird and out of proportion. I think I found what the source image is that they used to style this particular figure. It's this render right here. You can see right here, it's got stripes all along the body, going down into the tail. There's no breaks in the striping. I mean, it looks to me like it's probably actually just about the same amount of stripes. There's like 6 stripes on the body of this Gallimimus. And then here you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can also see the teeth in the jaw of this Gallimimus. So this looks to me to be the exact like picture, this exact render of a Gallimimus that they used to base the figure on. Although I will point out again, the feet here are very lightly colored, very white, like the underbelly, not present in this figure at all. So even in that sense, if this Gallimimus is based off this render, it's inaccurate to the render as well, because the feet are just flat orange. What is this render from? That's what I spent a few minutes, 10 minutes or so, trying to figure out earlier today. And I think I tracked it down. See, I've seen this render before. I knew I'd seen it somewhere. I just couldn't remember where for sure. Was it from a video game? What was it? Probably promotional material, right? Correct. It's from the Jurassic World website. It's the Gallimimus render used before Jurassic World came out. This website I think is offline, or this version of the website is offline for like the US server. I found this version of the website from the UK, which I think is a little different than what it used to be. So it's entirely possible that I'm wrong, and this Gallimimus render was not the one the website used originally, but I think it might be. Because it makes sense that this would be where I'd seen this Gallimimus. Plus, the teeth thing is definitely Jurassic World era. So it definitely is not a Gallimimus render that's from the OG trilogy. So it seems to me that they base their Jurassic Park Gallimimus entirely off of this Jurassic World art, which is problematic because it doesn't even represent the creature actually in Jurassic World. This is like the only rendition of the Gallimimus that looks like this. And that's just a bit strange. What is this picture? Oh, that's the para from the other video. Okay. So yeah, I really wish it was accurate. Like, that probably leaves like this Gallimimus figure is the most accurate to like Jurassic Park 1, which is rather disappointing. Even the Kenner Gallimimus is pretty inaccurate to the film because it's based upon a more vibrant concept art with the deep blue and reds in the back and the neck, which is a really cool color palette and design, just not, film accurate. Having said that, said so many negative things about the colorization of this figure, it's still a really good figure. It's still a good Gallimimus. Like, these inaccuracies don't ruin the figure for me. They're just disappointments. But yeah, I gotta knock some points off for it though. The teeth honestly annoys me more than the color scheme. I think I'm willing to allow some liberties in color schemes for figures, just because sometimes the color palettes are too complicated to have them translate to figures well. Although having said that, these three in the S tier here, the Amber Collection, Dilo, and Pteranodon, and the Hammond Baryonyx have fairly complicated color schemes. Like the Baryonyx's color scheme's not so complicated, but the transition from the gray to the white to the blue, for a figure, that's some fairly like narrow bands of color that have to be applied fairly accurately for it not to look like dog shit. So they've proven they can do better color palettes on occasion. They've proven it's not something they're incapable of. So it'd be good if they did more of that. I really do like the figure. I don't want to undersell that. It's a good figure, but I don't think I can put it in S tier because of the inaccuracies. I think S tier really has to be reserved for dinosaurs that are like figures that are almost perfect to what they appear in the films. I think A tier is where the Gallimimus goes, and I think that's a pretty respectable position, to be honest. I think A tier is like they've done a solid job at making a figure. It's got reasonable accuracy compared to the films, but it suffers from a few problems. Yeah, I think that's where it belongs. I guess the Dimorphodon, you could argue, is probably like S tier for accuracy, but it's a Dimorphodon, so like, eh. And the jaws on that are weird. I mean, these figures can be knocked for other reasons than accuracy, right? Like the para color scheme is fairly accurate for a world para, even though it's tagged as Lost World, but the proportions of the body are a little weird, stuff like that. But yeah, I think generally that's our guideline. Like S tier is like perfect. A tier is like a great figure with some inaccuracies. So we're going to put it here at the top of A tier. I think that's a good place for the Gallimimus. I think that's a fair ranking for it. These are always subject to change, of course. I might develop a different opinion based on other, thoughts or criteria at some point. But yeah, I don't think any of the previous figures change. I think I'm still happy with the rankings we did in the last figure video. I think, and yeah, Gallimimus goes here. Hopefully we can get a Rex soon, and hopefully we can do a Rex video and add it to this tier list. But I'm starting to feel like that's going to take a long time. Probably we need like a whole nother wave of Rexes to get released from Mattel or something to get one of those. I don't know. I don't have a pre-order for a Trike or a Ceratosaurus in anywhere, so if we have the same kind of supply issues for the wide releases of those figures as we do for the Hammond Rex, it might be quite a while till we're able to get those ones too, which sucks. The Trikes are somewhat out in the wild. I believe it's the Mattel Creations website that sold trikes, like directly from Mattel. But I don't think they're in any stores yet. I don't think any online stores have had any trikes either. I think Mattel is the only source so far of the trikes you might have seen review videos for. And I don't think anybody has the Serato. I don't think that's out at all, even from Mattel Creations. So yeah, I'm probably going to be lagging behind everybody else on doing any videos on most of those figures. I'm not going to like shell out exorbitant prices for like a scalped Rex either. I'm just going to wait till I can get one for reasonably close to MSRP. So yeah, hopefully that happens soon. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, I think that's enough talk about the Gallimimus here. I think we can pull the plug on this video and call it a day.